talking of nostalgia,
Yeah.
that moves us quite nicely, actually, into our next topic, because I've got an interesting one for this week's headline discussion.
Yeah.
Do you remember a few weeks ago when we discussed the PlayStation 5 Pro and its huge £699 price tag?
Yeah.
Well, that drama escalated further as they also put up a pre-order for a special 30th anniversary for PlayStation, and it was nearly £1,000. Do you remember that? It sold out in seconds, and it's now on eBay for over £5,000. So that got me thinking, what tech people might have, you know, in their cupboards, sheds, attics, whatever, that could be worth a small fortune. And what do you think that's coming out now in the future that could be
So
valuable?
let me just say this, right? If I please, I wish you'd had this conversation with me.
I'm having it now.
No, but listen, in like the year 2005.
Oh, so do I, because you wouldn't open anything. You
I mean,
just keep everything boxed.
Well, I even did a thing on Gadget Show. Do you remember? I think we did the same item a couple of times. I remember going to the auction houses just round here in Birmingham somewhere, even then, and looking at house clearances of things like Nintendo 64s and looking at it and not even choosing it. And I could have got it for like £5 or something.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. And the idea that the stuff I had in the 80s, which I've now had to rebuy at great cost. So the answer to your question. So, well, let's look at what's available right now, right, online, and what sort of prices things from back in the day are. And then we can work out what we might be able to keep in the box right now.
So what we're talking about here is vintage electronics.
Yeah.
So anything that's 20 years old or more is considered to be retro vintage.
South of the noughties.
South of the noughties.
That's what I say.
Yeah. So, for example, an Apple iPod Classic.
I wish.
Now, I was absolutely so much in love with this gadget because it's also what I did my screen test for the Gadget Show. I talked about the iPod.
Did you
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, and how it was a life-changing gadget, and it was the first true unisex gadget, because it was really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good angle.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
Well, it got me the job anyway. Anyway, now, if you've got one of those originals, you can get anything up from £150 to £500, obviously depending on the condition of it.
Doesn't have to be in a box, though, right?
No.
Yeah, I was going to say, because if it was boxed, it'd be worth a lot more than that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. But we can go through a few here.
Okay,
that we've got.
Nintendo Game Boy,
Yeah.
of which I have several.
Right, you can get between £100 and £300 for that. So obviously, strong retro gaming appeal for that.
That's a lot of money, though.
It's a lot of money, isn't it?
But I mean,
But if you hang on to it, will it be
I'm
worth more
hanging
in
on.
10 years?
But my problem is I keep playing with it.
Well,
I should probably just like polish it and leave it.
here's another one for you,
Go on then.
music lovers. Sony Walkman, the TPS L2, 1979. I had one of these.
Blue aluminium, silver with an orange button that you pressed and would enable you to talk to the second person on the headphones because there were 2 slots.
Oh.
Now, how much have you got for this?
Yeah, I've got between £400 and £800.
Right. If you can find me, right, a first generation Sony Walkman, right, that model, for 800 quid, let alone 400, I will buy it now. You can't get it for that.
They're really
$2.5 grand.
Yeah. Oh, what?
No, honestly.
Because they're so highly sought after.
Because I want one, and I'm telling you right now, that is woefully underpriced.
Okay, Commodore 64, 1982.
Oh, come on!
Pricing that at between £200 and £500.
Yeah, it sounds about right to
One
me.
of the best-selling home computers of all time, obviously sought after for its role in gaming history.
Well, the issue with that is that, like a lot of those sort of beige products from back in the day, like the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, and so on, is they discolor. They discolor because of the ultraviolet. So if you can find one that's been kept in the box, and they go a rather nasty color, actually, you can. There are processes. I've seen YouTubers that they do stuff where
Clean them up a bit.
clean. Yeah, they use like a. I don't know how
They
they
go
do
like
it.
a nicotine
They
kind of stain, don't
yeah,
they?
like a
They look-
dirty beige.
Yeah, dirty beige. Here's one.
That's a good name for a
band.
No, I was going to say for a stand-up comedian.
Well, you can take
Ladies
that
and gentlemen, Dirty Beige. And then you come on and you go, all right.
one. Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Moving on. Off topic.
Yeah.
This is what got me into gadgets, a Polaroid camera.
Oh, right,
When I
okay.
was really young.
Yeah.
So if you have unearthed a SX70,
Yeah.
which would have been from 1972, were we even born then? Yes, we were. The price for that would be between £200 and £600. So that, obviously, a retro instant camera that just
Beautiful.
revolutionised photography
And
because it gave you an instant picture.
It did.
It sounds stupid now, doesn't it, saying that with the digital
But
world?
the thing
but
is,
it was so different. You have to wait and go to the shop and get half of it back because you got fingers in front of the lens and everything, and some of them were discoloured, and they were all rubbish, weren't they? Really, all the pictures in those days.
I mean, what was great about this is it didn't matter whether it was rubbish because you had it on Christmas morning and you could look at you and Nan gurning into the camera immediately. And also the form factor, the design of those things, it's so romantic, such a beautiful object. Talking of beautiful objects.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Suzi.
Oh, bless you. I thought you were thinking about the Atari.
Oh, I was.
Yeah, I thought you were. So the Atari 2600, 1977.
So I've got one of it. I've got so many of these things on your list, but this
You've literally got everything I've mentioned.
came in two variants, right? The Woody, as we called it, which had a faux wooden front, which
like
is very iconic.
Walnut, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, do you know orange piping? Orange little sort of outline, which when I bought mine, I had to get an artist to redo the orange because I'm so OCD about it. And it also came as the Vader, all right? Which was the all black, which is just so cool.
1977?
So cool.
Yeah.
God.
Okay. So if you got one of those, you can expect to get between 100 and 400. I mean, obviously, it always depends on the quality and everything.
Yeah.
Right, Apple Macintosh.
Okay, interesting.
Right. So
84.
1984, 128K. What do you reckon?
Me?
So one of the
700 quid?
a bit further north of that, actually.
Really?
Yeah, between 1,000 and 3,000 pounds.
What?
Yep, depending on obviously the
I got
quality.
that one wrong.
One of the
Wow.
first mass market personal computers with a graphical user interface, making it highly collectible. That's why that is. What about Sega Genesis Mega Drive, 1988,
Yeah, got that.
89?
Got that.
Could get between 1 and 350 for that.
Yeah, but what if you whack the Mega CD on there? That's what you want. Play
Yeah.
Sewer Shark.
All right, next one then. Sony Trinitron TV.
So I'm a bit of a collector of the Sony PCMs.
Really, that surprises me.
Yeah, which are similar. They're cathode ray tubes, but they look like something out of Blade Runner. Love these. Do you know what? I got mine out of a skip.
Did you?
I had a little
Skip dipper.
I had a contact at the local tip, and he would text me and say, "I think we've got something." I'd say, "Why are you speaking like that? Are you all right?" And I'd go down and I grabbed. I bought one and I nicked off with two.
Buy one, get one free.
Yeah,
Sort of thing.
and then I sort of repaired them a little bit. I had to send them to her. It was weird, actually. I won't say where I was living in case Roger gets arrested, but there was really, really weird. There was a guy in this town where I was living, and he was like a Sony repair guy from the 80s. I mean, how cool is that? And I took one of them to him, and he said, "Yeah, I can repair that."
Have you still got it now?
I've got three. Yeah.
So, depending on the condition, obviously, between £50 and £500.
No.
Yeah. That's
Wow.
unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, obviously, prices fluctuate depending on the condition, the rarity, and
Do you know what? Listen to this. This is amazing, right? I put them on when I'm doing my home, because obviously I'm really into my retro gaming and stuff, right? And I put them on, and then all the kids come in to the room, and they go, "Turn that off." And I'm like, "What? That noise." I'm like, "What noise?" So I did a video. I'm not joking. This is really honestly true, right? I did a video, and I think I put it on Instagram, and I said, "If you can hear this, you're not an OG."
Oh, yeah.
And it's a tone that only young people can hear.
Yeah.
And it even worked on the social media post. The tone went through the camera, and I still couldn't hear it.
that's in fact, I've been somewhere recently where that tone was playing in the town because it's to stop them, kids sort of lingering and drinking on street corners, which was obviously what we used to do all the time. But I was with a 24-year-old, our sound engineer, and Nick was going, "Oh, can we get out of here? That noise?" And I'm like, "What noise?"
I think that's bad. Deploying sonic
Yeah, it was in
deterrents
another-
for
in
young
another-
people. That's like something out of a horror movie.
Well, it was in another country, but it was genuine because I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." He went, "Can't you hear that?" Like, no. And he went, we've got to get out of here. And we had to move to a different
That's
area.
what they're like in my front room.
Wow. Finally,
Yeah.
before we go on to the next section, Nokia 3310s
No idea.
from 2000.
No idea how much that would cost.
So a legendary phone, obviously known for its incredible battery life, which
All right.
would still be charged now all these years later. Between £50 and 150. So not a massive price,
No.
but if you got one in the cupboard and you need a bit of cash. Right, before we wrap up this little retro section, I
Yeah.
just want to do some of the most valuable retro video games, which you'll like this.
I love it.
So have a guess at this one. Super Mario Bros. 1985,
Yeah.
sealed first edition. What do you reckon? It's got to be unopened, first print
So
copy.
I've probably got most of the ones you're going to mention, but they'll just be rattling around in a box somewhere in my attic.
Well, if you've got this one boxed, it's worth $1 million to 1.5
What?
million pounds. Seriously.
Oh my God.
Honestly, and staying on Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
Nintendo 64, 1996. So it's not even that long ago,
See,
really.
the Nintendo 64 to me, I'm like, that's a modern console.
I know. Sealed first edition. Recently,
Yeah.
one went for $1 million.
Oh my God.
And they now say if you've got one between 800,000
That's
and
insane.
1.2 million pounds, if it's a perfectly graded, sealed copy.
There's a bit of a controversy there around the grading. I'll just let you know that because as a big retro gaming fan, as you know, the community is not particularly happy about the way that these sort of third parties have stepped into this area and have inflated the values of these things. I'm just going to put that out there. But
Okay.
Carry on. Give me some more numbers.
I've got a Pokemon Red or Blue,
Yeah.
Game Boy, 1996, 1998. It's got to be sealed.
Right. and
What do you
if it's
reckon? Have a
sealed out-
guess. Have a guess.
Well, based on all your
I
craziness.
mean, come back from the last one a bit, though.
Yeah. Well, 98, you say?
90,
5,
yeah,
6, 8,000?
10,000 to 80,000.
What?
Yeah. So sealed copies of these have risen significantly in value recently, especially the first edition versions. So there you go.
I'm absolutely gobsmacked.
So if you have got any of these games boxed, I mean, have a look. Go online and have a look if you need a bit of cash. But I do think also, like, is this a peak, or if you keep them for another 10 years, would it double?
Maybe, but I just want to say, just to represent my fam, the community of retro gamers,
Go on then.
a lot of this concerns me. It's third parties inflating the value of things for nothing but monetary gain. I'm happier to go to a car boot and, sort through a placky bag from someone's attic and get a dusty old copy of, Sonic the Hedgehog or Beck of the
I've got
Dolphin
one
or
more
Street
for you.
Fighter.
If you've got Air Raid from the Atari 2600,
Yeah.
1982.
Yeah, I've got Air Raid, but I mean, it's not mint.
Okay, well, one of the rarest Atari
Have I got it?
2600 games. It's very valuable,
Yeah.
especially if it's in its original packaging. You can get up to $100,000 for it. Madness.
That's insane. Can I just say this, that I don't know if I have Air Raid, actually. I've got several I've got like 20 Atari 2600 games or something like that. Very few of them are in the boxes because the
course.
boxes were cardboard, right?
Yeah.
And the artwork on the original 2600 games was incredible. And you had this it was so seductive, the artwork, that it actually affected what you saw. So you'd have this incredible artwork for something like Breakout. It'd be like an astronaut and some incredible spaceship or something. I can't remember. There might be asteroids. But anyway, and you'd then play the game, which is just a bat and a ball and some bricks.
Right.
But your
mind
yes, especially as a
took that
youngster.
image along with it, so it seemed more sophisticated when you were playing with it.
I mean, the
Amazing.
artwork was beautiful, but the boxes perished. They got dented and squished. So if
But that's why, you
Yeah,
see, if
I can
someone
see
has
that.
protected it, it's worth so much money because they are incredibly rare. They're just rare gems.
The other thing it brings to mind as well is the fact that now we've moved from physical copies, not completely, but we've moved from physical
Yeah.
copies like the PS5 Pro, and the fact that you have to pay extra to get the drive on it is encouraging you all the time. And I feel upset about that because I think if I pay 50 quid or whatever it is for a AAA title, it's probably more than that, and it's digital only, I should be able to trade that at a car boot in
You want something physical, don't you?
2035, but
So-
you can't.
You want a tangible asset. You want something that you can touch and see and feel and store and look at
Yeah.
and be able to sell on if you want to.
Fungible.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I like that. So, auctions and specialised marketplaces recently have sold these products for just eye-popping amounts
Yeah.
if they're in pristine condition.
Yeah, incredible.
There you go.
Lesson there, you see, to young Jace.
Don't rip everything open.
On Christmas morning. Yeah. Amazing. Absolutely astonishing stuff.